We will now continue with Piaget's stages of cognitive development. We've looked at two. We will look at the third one next, which is the concrete operational stage. This stage begins around 7 years and lasts till about 11. So a good 4 years are covered in this stage. And during this stage, the child develops to the use of numbers. The child can count, the child can add, the child can do simple arithmetic, but with manipulatives. He cannot do it in his head, he cannot do it on paper, he needs manipulatives. So what are manipulatives? Manipulatives are things that children can handle with their hands. And today, you could use your soft drink bottle caps. They come in different colors, so you could use them in different colors. You could use ballpoint pen caps. You could use toothpicks, matchsticks, buttons, whatever you are comfortable with, and keep a supply of them as the teacher and give it to the student to count. With manipulatives, the student will not only be able to count, but will also be able to add small simple numbers, will be able to take away, that is subtract, small simple numbers, and will begin to use math in a more concrete manner than he was previously used to doing. The child at this stage also begins to understand cause and effect. Something happens, so what will be the result? The child begins to see this as something leading to something. If you show the result, the child can tell you what could have caused it, because the causes sometimes are multiple. So if the child can even identify 2, 3 of the multiple causes, or even one to start with, that's a good beginning. So you can see how from the sensory motor and the pre-operational stage, the child now begins to be doing more understanding, begins to comprehend, begins to work with numbers, use numbers in a more concrete manner, and relate two things, either as the cause and identify the effect, or look at the effect and identify the probable cause. Whichever way the child does it, he is beginning to understand and think. What also happens in this stage is the child can now think about real concrete things. Still, abstract thinking hasn't developed. The child still needs to see either the real, a copy of something, a picture of something. He needs still to see. It's still concrete. He hasn't gone into the abstract phase yet. But what he can also do is make sense of those concrete things. He can talk about those concrete things. He can explain those concrete things. He can count those concrete things, which goes to show that the child is able to do more thinking than in the previous stages. He also now no longer is egocentric. The child is no more focused on himself. The child begins to see the others around him. Obviously, beginning with the family, the parents, the other siblings, the grandparents, the extended family, and then going into schools, the teacher, the classmates, friends, the principal, and other such individuals, and begins to see that he is not the only individual who is around here. There are others who are around him as well, and who also contribute to what he can or cannot do. So the child now not only gets out of thinking about himself, but he begins to understand more, begins to look at things in a more concrete manner, and learns to count. The 7 to 11 range, again, is not cast in stone. Some children can begin earlier and end later. Some children could begin early and end at 11. Some could begin late, end late. It depends on the individual nature and makeup of the child.